I was lucky and fortunate enough to cross paths with him several times in his life because I was a fan and reached out to him and made it happen and got to hang with him. But my next guest did the same thing except took it further. He actually got with Tiny Tim and produced an album, which is legendary. It is, man. And it turned out that Tiny Tim thought it was the best album of his career. So that's really, really awesome. So let's go ahead and introduce him for part 2. He's been on here before recently, and now he's back again to share his thoughts on Tiny Tim. What's up, Mark Robinson from PONK Media?
Good evening, Reverend Sister.
Hello, brother.
You guys are doing well, and hello to all the audience.
Thanks, bro. So what's the scoop on that recording?
Well, just for the record, too, the interview that we just heard was done, I think, the last night we did the last session. We had Tiny speak about the record, so it was kind of cool that he, left us with those words about it. We were pretty stoked about that. But, the album was pretty interesting. I don't know if you want to hear how it evolved or...
Well, I had a couple questions basically totally about the album. I'm using one eye to see with, so it's a little tricky for me, brother. But I've got it written down here because I wanted to make sure to get this stuff covered, man. And concerning the album, I noticed there were so many different instruments like alto sax, bass, clarinet, cello, flute, guitar, piano, trumpet. You had a conductor. Was it difficult to get all these people assembled in the place that you recorded, or is that part of the story?
Well, yeah, this was all the genius of Paul Reller, who, interestingly enough, played on and produced the GG album, Carnival of Excess record. But he is the mastermind that, put all that together and assembled all the musicians. And we recorded that live on a soundstage. We did 2 songs a night for 5 nights. We wanted to keep the integrity of how they were initially recorded in the first place. And that was challenging too, because, when you do something live with that many instruments, some nights we had 12 instruments. Any miscue, or if Tiny's voice cracked, or if there was a squeak or whatever, we had to start over again.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty challenging to get that down. But when it came out, the sound company, Bay Sound Productions out of Tampa, did the live mobile recording, and they were awesome. They did a fantastic job capturing it. But the genius there is Paul Reller.
What year was that exactly, Mark?
Oh, gosh. That was in 1994.
Okay, because you issued the album in 95, correct?
Yeah, that came out, and then on my first label, Vinyl Retentive, we did a run of that. And then actually Tiny's wife's mother ordered some of those, and they gave those out at the banquet at the thing that he was at the night he died, which was a little sad note.
Interesting.
Yeah, he loved that record. He really, really, obviously, from what you just heard, but he just, we always talked about that. We would always have a lot of late night chats talking about it all, and really stoked at the way it came out.
Oh man, it's great. Was there 2 separate album covers? I noticed one has Russ Columbo and one version I had just has Tiny. Is that 2 separate records or just 2 separate album covers?
It's 2 separate album covers, and the new issue was digitally remastered by Kramer from Shimmy Disc, and he played with Shockabilly and the Butthole Surfers and whatnot. He did the digital remaster of this. So the newer versions and the ones that are... I should also mention that all the PONK recordings of, Tiny, GG, Nervous, and Sleepy, and, all of them, they're all up on all the streaming sites. So anybody who wants to listen to them can, hit them on Spotify or... Amazon, Apple, whatever.
Yeah, that's great that you said that, because people do want to know where to find music. That's for sure, man. And, it's important, very important. Now, how long did you get to spend personally with Tiny? Was it weeks? Was it days? How long did you spend with him personally?
Oh, wow. We did, I think he was down there for 6 days, so I was with him pretty much all those days.
So almost a week with Tiny Tim. How cool.
Yeah, each day, we recorded those at night because the place where we recorded them, we had to kind of do this a little covertly, and, so these were recorded at night. So I had Tiny during the day. I would just kind of take him to these parks, and we would videotape him, and he liked to, indulge in a little beer, and he found these quarts of Schlitz that he liked to drink. So, we'd go around to these parks and he'd drink some beer and sit there and play the ukulele while we videotaped him, and just, it was awesome. Just educated us and played songs of yesteryear and, acoustic versions of some of the songs that we would record. So it's really cool.
No.
And at some point I'll release, a lot of, you can see some of these things on the on my page, on the YouTube page, and the Instagram page as well. I have shorts, video shorts up there.
Isn't The Prisoner of Love coming out again? Is that being reissued on like a colored vinyl or no?
Well, yes. Actually, we're waiting on the covers to be printed, and the Prisoner of Love is going to be out on TPOS Records.
Malcolm Tent up there in the East Coast.
Yes. So that we have the records back from the plant. We're just waiting on the covers to be printed, and Malcolm said they sound amazing.
Yeah, Malcolm's actually been on the show, and shout out to Malcolm Tent. He's, like he said to me the other day, that guy is like he gets so much accomplished. He's got so much energy and just does a lot. So shout out to Malcolm.
Yes, he's a prolific and an inspiration to us all.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely, man. And I've been hearing about him since, the 80s. Just like you said, when me and you met, like I've been hearing about you since the 80s, but we never had met,
Yeah,
Trippy.
Yeah, so, but yes, the release should be ready in, 2 weeks through his record label, and, there'll be stuff on all the social media sites.
Is that?
But, very excited about the vinyl release of this. It's, been a long time coming, so.
Now, is the CD out of print? Is there another print of that coming too, or no?
I just don't, I'm waiting on a new run for it. It's not necessarily out of print, but again, all this stuff is available on all the stream platforms.
Rad.
So
when you were with Tiny Tim, did he do like what he did when I experienced time with him? When you talked about things that were maybe of an adult nature, did he spell out like words like sex, like sex and stuff like that?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. There were so many moments of things like that because, I had to take airline flights with him and drive him around, and,
wow.
So I was literally with him all the time. So there were so many fun moments and stories of all his, idiosyncratic behaviors and things like that. Things like he would always call women with Miss, so it would be Miss Tracy, and then, Mr. Moody, all that stuff. But yeah, it was very, we had a party the night after the sessions. It was really fun, where Tiny was basically holding court, and playing his uke for everybody. And it was really special, really fun time.
Oh man, that is amazing. And you got a lot of this stuff on video, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And like I said, on the Instagram and YouTube page, there's some shorts that I've posted to check out, and I have a lot more that I'll be posting in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, Ponk Media, PONK. We're speaking with Mark Robinson. Ponk Media available is on Instagram and YouTube, correct?
Yes, at Ponk Media, one word.
Yeah, 10 songs. The vinyl for Tiny Tim's got 10 tracks. It's a great release, of course. And he's also put out stuff by the one and only Nervous Norvis, Sleepy LaBeef, Gigi Allen. And I'm proud to say I'm working with Ponk Media myself. And it's just a really fun label with a lot of cool stuff that's just, like you said, idiosyncratic and also eccentric and fun,
Yeah, and I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention my skate punk band called Double Truckers from Jensen Beach, Florida. So really stoked to have them on board.
The Double Truckers.
Mark Bunsey's a Hall of Fame skateboarder, amazing for decades. He's a pioneer.
Nice.
So very stoked to have him and you. So there's some nice, exciting stuff coming up.
And you've done stuff with Anti-Scene too, right? Or no?
I've worked with Jeff on some different things, but I did a video for his TKO release, the split with the Meatmen.
That's right.
I think it's called, I know it's called GGPHD. I did a video for that track using a lot of the unreleased photos from photo shoot that I did with Gigi up there in Anti-Scene
Nice.
in North Carolina. But the fun thing about that Tiny record, if you want to go back to him, is that thing kind of came about. It was very difficult to get to a point to which we wanted to, what do we do? Because all of a sudden, out of the blue, I just mentioned it. And all of a sudden, it picked up the phone one afternoon, and it was Tiny Tim. And, it was one of those things I had no idea it was coming. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I didn't really know this was going to happen.
Wow.
So we just got to talking, and he wanted me to try to get the Notre Dame marching band. And I said, Tiny, I just don't have that kind of juice. I can't just pick up the phone and call the athletic director and say, yeah, can I borrow your band, marching band? So
right.
How Tiny was. So it's, it's challenging on a lot of levels to finally get to the point. But, I finally asked him, I said, look, what is it that nobody's let you do? And he really idolized and loved Russ Columbo's voice. And I said, man, why don't we do, something like that, where you just kind of do some of the songs that he did. And it wasn't, songs that Columbo wrote per se. It was just his style of singing.
Yeah.
Tiny really loved,
Because Tiny can be so all over the place, but he focused on that particular sound for that album because that's what he loved the most.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had many late-night conversations where he would call me up and play, he'd sing me the songs how Bing Crosby would do them, and then how Rudy Valley would do them. See, I didn't know anything about this style of music till I started engaging in this project with him, and
all the crooners, yeah.
Right, and that music from that era, he really loved that era of music. So it was really cool, some of those late nights. Just, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is really awesome. There's Tiny Tim doing these a cappella. Well, he'd play on the ukulele at the same time. It wasn't really a cappella, I guess, acoustic. Really fun stuff, though. Tiny was a great guy. I still miss him to this day, every day.
Well, I'm glad that you were wise enough to get together and make those recordings with him and the stuff available on Instagram and YouTube. Appreciate you taking time to share a little bit with us. And
my pleasure.
I want you to let us know, because you gave me a couple ideas, and Sister Tracy's wanting to cue up the song. What song should we play from Prisoner of Love?
Well, one of my favorites off the record is a song called Paradise.
Paradise, that's the one.
Yes.
Tiny Tim, Paradise.
Yeah, it was featured on Howard Stern's show, and it's just, that was the first one we did, and that was the one that when we were, I drove him around, we stopped at a park, and we played that, and he just looked at me, and he had this stunned look on his face. Paradise just, it's like a rocket or a lightning bolt went through him. It was really cool moment, so I'll always remember that about that tune.
Well, that's what we're going to do then, I guess. Sister Tracy does have it queued up. Mark, man, it is so awesome to always talk to you, bro. And
thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the time. And again, hello and good evening to all your listeners. And thank you very much.
Yeah, there's still stuff down the road we could touch base on. I don't know when, but we could always get together another time and talk about Nervous Norvis / Sleepy Beef stories sometime.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that anytime.
That'd be cool, man. It really would.
Cool.
All right, well, we're going to do Paradise then, I guess, at your suggestion from the Prisoner of Love album. Anything you'd like to leave us with?
I would just, again, want to thank you very much for the time. And, everybody, check out the Tiny Tim stuff. It's really some interesting and much different than the normal ukulele stuff as you'll hear here with Paradise.
Awesome. Well, Mark Robinson, PONK Media, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right.